All right, welcome back. So it was around about 7 months ago, right, when I posted a video saying that I'd finally bought 100 shares of Realty Income, right? And I had put those 100 shares and added it into my dividend portfolio. So I thought that today it would be a cool idea to go over what that investment looks like now and to see what it's done since then, because I'm starting to see a lot of people post videos talking about selling out of their realty income positions, which, if I'm being honest, I don't quite understand, right? Not because I can't wrap my head around possibly selling realty income, or some of the reasons even for it, but more so because right now, the price point that realty income is sitting at is still well below its 52-week high. So if you were buying then, right? If you were buying then when the price was at an all-time high, why wouldn't you be buying right now? And quite a few people are saying that, they're selling because there's been no real gains in stock valuation made from holding realty income over the past year to 5 years even, which I understand. And as an investor, if you're holding a stock that isn't growing or gaining value, then the consensus is that you're holding a liability versus holding an asset, which, is, as an investor, again, you don't want that. You don't want to see that. But the key component here about investing in realty income that is usually a major factor among investors is that steady dividend income that they've been growing and raising for the past 30 consecutive years, which has made this stock a dividend aristocrat and given it a ton of value despite its drop off in price appreciation, right? So we're not really factoring in everything when we say that realty income hasn't been growing, right? In valuation hasn't given its investors a return. Now, in terms of comparing realty income as an asset to actual real estate, I can understand why some investors might say, yeah, you know what? This stock isn't really performing well and it's not keeping pace with the real estate market, because chances are, if you would have owned real estate for the past, 5 years or so, you would have seen growth in various ways, such as through, property value appreciation and appraisal value, right? And let's say you might have even been able to see a rise in value from your ability to increase rental prices, if assuming that you had tenants and you were leasing out, those properties in a home or business or whatever you were leasing to your tenants for. But let me remind you all of the bright spots of owning and investing in realty income and treating it as a real estate investment versus actually owning property, because I own both. All right. I own both. I have real estate and I own the stock itself. And let me tell you, owning the stock is so much easier than owning the land. Now, when most people think about investing in real estate, they picture buying rental properties, managing tenants, cashing in on rental checks. And, that's cool, right? But what if I told you there's another way to enjoy the benefits of owning real estate without the hassle of being a quote unquote landlord, right? Because being a landlord can bring its own problems. So that is why taking a look at real estate through the means of owning realty income might be a more viable option for a lot more people, right? Because you can't necessarily walk outside and invest 100,000 to 200,000 into some land and then just start running it out tomorrow, right? Most people don't have that kind of money on hand. Most people don't have that kind of free cash flow to even start an investment like that, which is where realty income comes into the picture, because it gives us all a different way to invest, a different option if you want to get into real estate investing. This is your other way. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just informing you of your options. Okay? So owning real estate versus investing in realty income, right? Real estate is one of the oldest ways to build wealth in this country. You buy a property, you rent it out, you collect that monthly income, and you enjoy that long-term appreciation of owning that property, right? Sounds great. But here's the catch. Owning property comes with hidden costs. You got mortgages, you've got property taxes, you've got insurance, right? You've got repairs that need to be made. You've got vacancies, right? Because who knows? People tend to not stay in their place forever. They look for other places that they want to live, right? And of course, the joy of dealing with, let's say, not all tenants are created equal. You've got bad tenants sometimes, right? And so for a lot of people, this can become a second job. It can become a second job versus just sitting by and collecting that passive income, which is why you got into real estate in the first place. So when you invest in realty income, what exactly are you buying? Well, Walgreens, Dollar General, 7-Eleven, these are just some of the businesses that realty income is behind. Realty income is a REIT, okay? It's a real estate investment trust. And so instead of you buying one rental property or even two, realty income owns, get this, over 13,000 commercial properties across the United States and Europe, which are leased out to big, reliable companies like the ones I just mentioned, and also companies like Walmart, FedEx, and CVS, right? All companies and brands that we know, that we've been living with, that we've all visited several times throughout our life. And here is the other thing. Realty income pays its shareholders that beautiful monthly dividend, just like a rent check. And in fact, they've paid that monthly dividend check out to their investors since 1969. And they've increased that dividend over 120 times. That's why they're nicknamed the monthly dividend company. You're getting some diversification in owning one stock. With one rental property, your investment is tied to a single location and that tenant, right? If your tenant leaves, you get zero income. Realty income spreads your risk across thousands of properties and hundreds of tenants, right? Selling a property can take months and even cost maybe even years and cost you thousands in fees, right? Selling realty income, you can do that in the snap of a finger. Takes a couple seconds, a few clicks, you're done. So the question isn't, should I buy real estate or realty income, right? The real question is, how much of my portfolio should I dedicate to each? Now, for me personally, I have about 40% dedicated of my portfolio, my dividend portfolio dedicated to realty income, and I'm fine with that. I'm cool with that, okay? Because realty income has given me a great return on my investment. The ROI for me has been excellent, okay? I'm bringing it up here on the screen. You can see right now, I'm up around $600 in realty income. That does not include all the dividends that I've received from realty income since I have owned it. So my actual return is even greater and bigger than the number you're seeing right there. Back in January of this year, I spent about $1,300 to $1,400 and bought 20 something shares, almost 25 shares of realty income, bringing that share total to 100 shares, right? Since then, just owning realty income, just owning these shares and reinvesting it has purchased me 3 more shares of realty income. So I'm just increasing my net value month over month over month, y'all. I'm just increasing my returns month over month over month. I'm just increasing my paychecks. I'm giving myself a raise every single month here. And I love it. I love it. So you can see where I put in $150. I just bought $150 worth maybe a couple days ago. So you see that buy there, that 2.55 shares or whatever it is. But if you take that away and you take away all the shares that I bought, owning Realty Income, owning 100 shares has purchased me 3.5 additional shares of Realty Income. Money that I didn't have to spend. I just reinvested those dividends. That's that beautiful compounding effect, y'all. So listen, if you have an interest in this, if this gave you some type of insight, drop a comment down below. Let me know if you yourself are selling out of Realty Income or if you're still on the bullet train, right? Let me know. And I will holler at y'all later. Thank y'all for watching. I'll see you tomorrow.